Awesome. Just testing sound. If you guys can hear me, just comment in the comment section below. All right, we'll wait for a few more to get in here, and then we can we can get started. We can do some look at some charts. And while we're waiting, if you guys want to leave any questions at all that you want answered, I'll answer pretty much everything if it's to do with the markets and all that sort of stuff. So let's see if there's any questions yet. Sweet, looks good. All right, so I just shared that thread on Twitter, which was very, very bullish. It was very bullish. It was good, but I just want to show you guys something here. It's looking like we're almost having a breakout of this key level here, which is really good. And basically, for this video, I wanted to go over the funding tool mostly. I wanted to go over funding because funding is the best tool. But like, if you guys don't have funding as a tool that you use every time you're looking at the charts, then you're severely hindering your performance in trading and investing. Like, you need to use funding. So let me help visualize how fucking good this tool is. So all right, let's bring it back to here. So legit, like, if you look at the funding tool, what we have is we have cycles of fear and cycles of greed. Now remember, in markets, we're always fluctuating between fear and greed. If the market's really scared, we're going to go back to a market that's greedy in the future. It might take a little bit of time, but eventually people are going to get greedy because it's always the same cycle. We're always going from fear to greed. And I guarantee people here, when they were fearful, didn't think they were going to be greedy 1 month later. Legit, like, when was this? 1st of May. When's this? End of May. I guarantee when we were here, and I'll show you what the price was doing at this level. I guarantee you here, people were getting bearish. We had a big dump. I doubt any of them would have guessed that we would be at fucking, what was it here? 5K? Now 8K. Literally like a month later. I doubt anyone would be thinking that. So you need to understand that markets, especially Bitcoin, are fluctuating from fear to greed. And so this funding tool is a visualization of the fear and greed of the average market participant. So when we have a down move like this, what that's basically saying is that there are people who are currently longing the market are getting paid to be long. So the funding is negative, which means that the sentiment is basically negative. Negative funding happens on negative sentiment. It means that there's more shorts than there is longs. And it always tends to happen at the bottom. It's funny that people always short at the bottom and they long at the top. And it's crazy just how accurate this is. So let's have a look. I need you guys to see how fucking good this tool is. So legit bottom. All right, we're going up a bit here, top. We're going down here, bottom. Top. It's literally like the single most useful tool. And so the reason that it was really useful back in, when is this, 2019, is because literally the entirety of like 2019 was just like a chopping sideways market while we were waiting for the institutional adoption and obviously just like the money printing and stuff. We're just going sideways in a very volatile fashion. Obviously we had a run up to 14K, but this aspect here, this was all just sideways. And I mean, honestly, if the Corona crash didn't happen, we wouldn't have gone down to here. We might have stopped here and then we probably would have gone sideways and continued a bullish trend. But Corona just fully fucked with everything, obviously. But look at the funding on the Corona crash. Look at how insanely insanely negative it went. It literally broke the exchanges. Look how it went down to 2, 3. That meant that every 8 hours, someone at this bottom wick was getting paid, and it was only for a short amount of time, but they were getting paid 3% every hour. I'm sorry, every 8 hours to be long Bitcoin, which is crazy. You know, in a day, getting paid, what's that? 24%. Oh, sorry, not 24%. 9% to be long Bitcoin. So let's compare that to what we're currently seeing. So what we're currently seeing is so funding has been less reliable because funding is indicative of the sentiment of people who use leverage to trade. People who are on leverage exchanges, like they're leverage trading on Binance or BitMEX or FTX or whatever it is. And if there are 100 people in a market and only 20 of them are using derivatives to buy and sell Bitcoin, then the decisions that they make and the influence they have over the market is significantly less than if, per se, we were to have 80 out of 100 people being derivatives traders who are using leverage, because obviously 20 people have less of an impact than 80. So in a market driven by derivatives, which was what we had back here, this was just leverage trading. This was just leverage traders, like over here. It was just messy leverage trading price action. Whereas over here, basically starting at the 10K, the 10K lows, this is institutional. Look, this is spot driven. This is new people coming into the market here. And so what we have now is a shift back towards derivatives based price action, because retail has sort of peeled off a bit after Vitalik dumped $1 billion of Shibu and basically scared off all the retail. And I think there's been a fair bit of profit taking around the board, and so that basically just means we're heading back into a derivatives driven market, and it means that our tool's going to become super reliable again, which is really fucking good because I want to use this tool. Obviously it means that markets don't just go up forever, but it's a pretty good tool for stacking your crypto basically. So let's have a look at the last time we had a really good signal for this. So here we had prime bottom, look, just funding was constantly negative. This was actually the first time I used it. So I only discovered this tool around here at 12K, and then we dipped negative and I was like, oh shit, I gotta load up. And so this was the first time I used it and it worked really well. We went up to 60K, obviously. But so it looks like we're heading into another sort of bottom. Now, I drew this buy zone as a comparison to the last one. Not so much to say this is the bottom and you buy here, but it's more just like a comparison of the price action and the funding for these two spots. So obviously negative funding, accumulation. So yeah, if we do see a cycle in the market where we do see funding maybe like go negative for a bit longer and then eventually flip, and then we have a bit of a positive funding regime, then I would expect price to hit minimum 42K, which is around here, maybe 45, maybe 50. So remember, markets operate from fear to greed. And so what we've had is a significant period of fear. How do we know it was a significant period of fear? Look how low funding got on the first wick low. Look how low funding was. It's ridiculous. That is fear in the market. And so that shows that we're in the fear cycle, and now we're going to be returning to a greed cycle eventually. Prices don't just go down forever, especially Bitcoin. It doesn't work like that. We have gaps to fill. We have to fill all of this. We have to fill all of this above eventually. There's a huge gap here. Look, there's a big gap, huge gap. So yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if eventually we rally up to minimum 44k, 45k region. It sort of just makes sense. But look, obviously, could be wrong, and we continue going sideways, and we break the low, and we go down here a bit more, and maybe we have to test this low again. But I don't know. I just don't think we break 30k before seeing like 45k. It just, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but obviously could be wrong. So let me have a look at the questions in the chat here. How it looks nodes and volume profile. Yeah, funding tool is only applicable to Bitcoin. That's a really good question, Keith. So yes, the answer is basically yes. It's sort of useful for Ethereum, but it's mostly Bitcoin. So if I double tap and go to settings, you can actually change it here on the type section to Ethereum. And so if we do that, we can sort of see how different it is. It's a very different setup. Funding is generally always positive. It's generally always positive. We have little spikes to the downside, which you could maybe argue as being areas you could buy a dip. Yep, what about this one? Where is it? Like here? Yep. Okay. See, this one's pretty useful. It's pretty useful. It's just less consistent. That's the main thing. It's less consistent. So, I mean, yeah, you could buy there, but it's a bit weird. Next one. Oh, whoops. This is, and also, sorry, this is the Bitcoin chart. Probably better to analyze the Ethereum chart. Yeah, here we are. That's better. So, yep, so here, it worked, it worked, it worked. Yep. Yep, so it's still, honestly, it's still reliable. It's just less consistent. So I wouldn't use it. I would probably rather just use the Bitcoin one, because Bitcoin controls the market, and it's the most signal and the least amount of noise that you can sort of get available. Any more questions, guys? Leave them in the comments below. I'm sort of running out of funding stuff to cover here. So any questions, just comment them below. See if I can get some stuff answered for you guys. Yeah, so honestly, Ethereum / BTC still looks pretty good. It's a very nice chart. Decred is a very funny chart. I want to cover something else for you guys, but I need some ideas. So there are a lot of indicators used in your guide in combination with funding. Maybe talk about some of those. All right, let's go through my list of indicators. Thanks for the question, Harry. Thank you for that. All right, so we got this one. Let's have a look. So this one's sort of a macro one. This one you just basically just chuck on a chart and you use it for macro. You might look at it once every few days for 2 minutes, basically. And the idea is just to, it just combines the moving average. It just combines a series of moving averages and plots for you when it's below this moving average, and sort of just tells you like where you should be buying. It's just a useful tool. Pure. Oh, let's have a look at Pure. So Pure's interesting because it's amazing at picking bottoms. It is absolutely amazing at like finding the bottoms in price. So obviously the green means buy, the red means sell. So if you were to just use Pure, you would have bought the bottom, You would have bought the bottom here. You would have bought here. You would have got really good prices. And yeah, it looks like we're coming in for another one. That's actually really bullish if we do come in for another test here. All right, let's look at the next one. We got, I don't like this one. I'm not a fan. Bitcoin production cost. Let's remove the other one. So this one's pretty useful as well. It just tells you when the price of Bitcoin is below the cost of production. And typically, when the price of Bitcoin is below the cost of production, obviously that just means that for the average miner, for every Bitcoin that they mine, they're making a net loss. And it's typically a sign of like a minor capitulation event, which is really bullish because it's sort of just it's max fear basically. When miners capitulate and they're forced to get taken off the market, it's a sort of a max pain event, max fear event where the market participants are just very scared. All right, what's the next one? Funding obviously is good. Bollinger Bands, not worth covering. I don't like this one. Super guppy. Let's have a look at this one. So I've actually got a good strategy of this tool for you guys. I remember I used it on the 4 hour for this chart a while ago. So the way to use the Super Guppy is, it's just to show you, CM Super Guppy. The way you use this one is you chuck it on a chart, you put the chart on the 4 hour time frame, and any new Binance coin that's being listed, you bring the chart up and you put it on this chart. And the way it works is that you want to buy it's the moment that the Super Guppy tool flips to the green color, because that typically signals a bottom and it signals that the moving averages of this coin are lining up, and that means the bots are stepping in to put price up, and it marks the beginning of an uptrend. And so for hard here, if you were to wait for it to go green, you would have been buying here, and this is where I bought, and we got a pretty good 2x move. This was ages ago. And I think there was another one. I think it was Rose. I think Rose was listed at a similar time. Yep, so similar idea. You wait, you buy on the green, the flip of the green here. You would have bought it like 4K region, went up to like, it went up a bit. So I only use it on the first green flip on the listing. After that, it's less reliable. But yeah, this works well. If you guys know of any new Binance listings, comment them below. I don't have a clue. So if you guys know any like new coins that have been listed on Binance, maybe in the past week or two, 3 weeks maybe, I can take a look and see what the tool looks like with that. How about we give it a quick Google, new Binance listings, see if this comes up. Alright, here we are, LPT, that sounds new. It's probably a bit, hold up. That's a shitty chart. Burger, let's have a look at Burger. Alright, so, what's this one doing? Yeah, so honestly, it's probably coming into a bottom soon. It's still deep red, so it's probably got to go sideways for a little bit. It'll get up here, and then it might flick green around this region here, and that's where we'd be looking to buy. I want to find a good example. Mask. Yep, so it looks like it's forming a bottom. Yeah, these charts are look like they're forming bottoms. MDX. Whoa, that's actually a really nice chart. It's actually a super nice chart. What the fuck? So, wow. Okay. This would actually be a really good trade idea that I would consider. I would actually really consider posting this in one of the Telegram chats as like a trade that you guys can take. So I'll use this as a live example to show you how it is that I actually plot the chart. So first of all, you just go to a 4-hour time frame. Where's the resistance? It's around here. Maybe go to the 1 hour to get a better idea of what's happening. Yep. I don't really need these tools anymore. Get rid of that. So I want to wait for a breakout, and I want it to be with volume. So I want to see a breakout, and I want to see a retest, and I want to see a retest hold. So this is like my typical momentum style trade, basically. What I would do is I would buy when it breaks out, and I would buy when it retests, and I'd be placing my stop losses probably down around here, around 3 to 4% below the lowest entry, around that region there. It does have some big wicks, so maybe with this one I would probably look to enter a bit lower because I'm expecting it to wick a fair bit. Like, see, these wicks are crazy. It's like a 4% wick, yeah, 5% wick. So I'd be adapting my style to the chart, seeing that it is volatile. It's probably a small coin. How about we have a look? MDX. We'll see. Let's have a look why it's so volatile. So yep, this is it. Here's the market cap. Here it is. Oh, it's actually pretty big. But this chart actually makes me more bearish because, as you can see, it has a big price history and it has actually fallen a lot off. It's not that it's at all-time highs and it's going to hit new all-time highs. It's more so that it's just accumulating at the bottom. So that's a little bit of a bearish sign for me because it, like, how a chart works is basically when we, let's use Sol as an example. When a coin enters price discovery, it's one of the most bullish things that can happen for the coin because when it's at new all-time highs, everyone has made money. Everyone's happy, everyone's made money, everyone's like, oh fuck, this is going 100x, I'm holding this for the moon. Where am I going to sell? There's no sell targets. You know, like, there's no resistance levels. Where do you even sell? You know, so price discovery is like the perfect, it's like buying all-time highs is actually a really profitable strategy. As weird as it sounds, you're buying the absolute highest price it's ever been, but it's a good strategy. It's for this reason. It's because at this new all-time high, you're running out of sellers. Where are people who want to sell going to sell? You have to just use fib levels, or you have to use like the $3 mark or the $4 mark, or you just have to sell at a random price. Like, it's very difficult to be able to plot an area to sell, and so there's less sell pressure. And there's no bag holders. Bag holders are like a death for a project. You know, if a project went minus 95% and there's a bunch of people holding these worthless coins, these are all people in the future who are going to sell and they're not going to hold. And these people hold a lot of your coins, and so you want the people who hold a lot of your coins to be bullish, not to be bearish. You want them not to be selling on a quick rally, you want them to be holding through it. So that's just a little rant on price discovery. Now let's have a look. Any more questions? Do I have a TRX prediction. I don't know, this looks shit like all the other charts. I mean, it looks okay. Honestly, it just looks like look, all the charts look the same. All the charts look the same. Except for stocks. Yep, so look, there's another bullish catalyst here for markets. The DXY, which is the US dollar currency index, which is basically what is the value of the US dollar versus a basket of currencies. Because, like, think about it. The only way you can value something is when you compare it to something else. How do you know the value of an apple without knowing what it can get you? Like, what is this apple worth? Okay, well, it's worth $1 US. So it's always in comparison to something that you get value. And so this index shows you the value of the US dollar in a way that sort of keeps the value independent. So when you compare the US dollar to the Aussie dollar and the value of that pair goes up, you can never really know if it's the US dollar going up or if it's the Aussie dollar going up or down. You'd have to then go off and go, okay, the AUD/USD trading pair is up. Okay, let's just check if the US dollar and the the euro has done the same thing, just to see if it's a sign of the Aussie dollar moving or if it's a sign of the US dollar moving. So the US dollar, what do they call it exactly? The US dollar currency index allows you to sort of see, like, what is the value of the US dollar sort of by itself, in a sense. And so when this goes down, this is bullish for Bitcoin. So let's do a comparison. Oh, that's not useful, is it? How about I do this? Okay, that's not useful. So starting in March 2020, we had the peak of the US dollar high at 100, and it's since dropped down to, what's it at now? 89. So it's had a pretty big drop. Obviously for a currency, it's a pretty big drop. It's like a 12% drop, which is pretty big. And so 17th of March 2020. Let's go to the same date for Bitcoin. 17th of March 2020 marked the bottom. And since then, it's up a crazy amount. It's up like 12x. And so what this shows you is that the US dollar and Bitcoin have an inverse correlation, which means that they do the opposites of each other. So when the dollar dumps, Bitcoin goes up. That's just how it works, because the dollar's worth less, on the BTC/USD trading pair. When the one side of the equation is worth less, the other side is worth more. So it naturally boosts the price and it helps support a bull market. The US dollar falling is necessary to support a healthy bull market, because it sort of acts as like a boost. It's like a rocket at the back of the engine that gives it a boost. And this happened as well back in the prior bull run. So let's have a look. Let's have a look back at, like, I don't know, mid-July 2017. Yep, so see, this was the bull market. This was the prior bull run here. Where's the July mark? July. So it was the same thing. This US dollar index fell from 100 down to the same region. Literally, it was literally just a replica. Look, it's the exact same thing. It's literally a fractal right here. Bull run, bull run. Now, the only difference is we rallied off the bottom here and we continued up. Difference is we rallied up and now we've rallied all the way back down. So it's a slightly different dynamic this time around from what I can see. Alright, honestly, I think there's a good chance we just find resistance here and we just don't break out yet. That would make sense to me. If this is to be a proper breakout, we do need to see volume. So if we just like pump from here and come back down, I need to see a big volume spike here to be able to get sort of confirmation that it's actually a proper move. Check TLM. I have no idea what that is. TLM. Okay, that's on Binance. Oh, yep, new coin. Thank you for that. I don't know what these dots are doing. Let's try it again. So, so what candle was it on? So it flipped green and then it rallied 50. How much did it rally? 50%? Yeah, honestly, that's pretty good. Now, obviously, if you get a good entry, you need to get a good exit as well. So how do you exit? Well, you just have to base it off key resistance levels. So you'd buy here, and then you'd sell it 40% higher at the key resistance level right here. And yeah, it went a little bit higher, but it was fine. So that's an idea. You just use normal take profit levels. I wouldn't use the actual guppy to know when to sell, because look, if you waited for it to flip grey, you would have sold literally at break even. If you waited for red, you would have sold literally at like probably a 50% loss. Well, 30%, yeah, still too big. Alright, I'm going to take one more question, I'm going to hop off. So, got time for one more question. I think gold's been looking bullish lately, actually. Yeah, wow. Oh, shit. It's a very good move off the lows here. What are you looking at here? Alright, I'm not seeing any more questions, so I think I might just wrap it up here, guys. Thanks for hopping on, I guess you'd call it episode 2 of live streams. Yeah, thanks for joining, and hope you guys have a good rest of your day or your night. It's 1 AM here, so whatever it is where you guys are, so yeah, see you next time.